our Foxbody's been running great. So what do you do to a project car when it's running well? Well, you fix all the other stuff that's wrong with it. So today we're gonna be revamping the way the Mustang puts down power by installing one of the coolest diffs out there, the Auburn Select-A-Lock. We'll talk about what makes it so cool and how it works. Hint, it has something to do with these wires coming off of it. Now, speaking of wires, we're also going to be converting the Mustang's lackluster power steering system to an electric over hydraulic steering system, using some junkyard parts and doing some stuff I've never done before. So I think maybe we'll learn a thing or two together today. Welcome to Bigtime. All right, the first thing we got to do is pull the rear end out of the Mustang, blow it apart, look at what's going on with it, and then get to installing the cool stuff. Now you could install a diff in this axle with the axle in the car, but I think for you guys to be able to see it better and just for us to have a little more room to work, we're gonna take it out of the car. It's really not that hard in a car like this. Handful of fasteners and it'll fall right out. Whoa. Expecting that to be a little stucker.
Can you smell that?
Yeah, pretty good amount of dark matter in there. All right, so this is a Ford 8.8 rear end, and it has Ford's traction lock limited slip differential, and it's just a basic clutch type limited slip diff. And when new, it's probably fine, but this one's over 30 years old. Damn! I think this was from an SN95 Mustang, so it's not quite as old as the car, but it's still pretty dang old.
What do you mean by that?
And it's very worn out. So, as such, we're gonna replace it. Down, down, baby. So like I said at the beginning, this is a limited slip diff, the factory one, the traction lock. And what we're checking right now with these two pry bars is how much that diff is locking the two axles together at rest, right? And so what's responsible for locking these together, obviously there are clutch packs in here like most limited slip diffs. But this spring is pushing on the side gears, which push on those clutch packs. So it's really just a function of the spring and the health of the clutch packs. So by trying to spin them different directions, like an open diff would let you do, you can kind of feel what kind of shape your limited slip diff is in. And this one is not in very good shape. It's taken nearly no force to slip the diff itself. Now, of course, we could just replace the clutch packs, but I thought on this one it might be fun to do something a little different. So now we're going to take the diff out of the housing, and once we do that, we can take it apart, look at how it works or how it's supposed to work, and then we're going to replace. Okay, there's the spring.
Okay, now we're just going to pry it out.
During day-to-day here at Bigtime headquarters, it looks like they'll be recording temperature
Oh my, who are you?
What the? Have you guys seen this guy in the suit wandering around?
Yeah, it's weird. He's got like a magnifying glass and a weird hat.
Yeah, well, I think he's trying to steal our data.
Yeah, I think we need today's sponsor, Aura. I think we need to go find that guy too. Really? My dog? I don't think so, buddy. No, get over here. Your data is being collected and stolen every single time you use the internet. Incognito mode? More like, I know exactly what website you were on last night at 2:30 a.m. mode. And that's why I use Aura to get some of that privacy back.
And Aura identifies data brokers selling your information and removes you from them. And sure, there are a bunch of other services that offer this too, but not with the same amount of features and the same price as Aura.
Aura is a US-based company whose business is to protect your data, not monetize it. So you can go try it out right now using the link below to get 14 days free. And thank you for supporting the companies that support us here at Bigtime. All right, let's get this guy to the trash.
Yeah, let's get him, dude.
Come on. Chewy, come on, let's bite his ass.
All right, before we talk about how the diff works, let's talk about the path power takes to get to the diff. Obviously, it starts in the engine, goes through the transmission, down the drive shaft, and into the front of the differential, into the pinion. The pinion spins, and it meshes up with the ring gear, which spins the ring gear, which is bolted to the differential housing. then some magic happens in the diff and power is distributed to your axles. Now, there's a few different ways that power can be distributed. The first one, the most common one, the original differential, is the open diff.
So each wheel's got a side gear on it, and then there's these, which are called spider gears. So the cross pin going through, oh my God, there's a lot to juggle. This cross pin going through the diff is spun by here. So this is what actually transmits power to your wheels, is spinning this cross shaft. You can see this being open right now means it would spin the gear where my hand is, the make-believe gear. So that would be an open diff, and it would spin just that one tire because I'm holding this one stationary. If you want both to spin, there's a couple different ways to do it, but this style had a pull stack of clutches on it. The thrust, basically the load from this gear and the pin, is pushing these gears apart, and that loads the whole stack of clutches, which locks them to this housing and makes both spin the same amount. This one works similarly. There's a whole bunch of clutches under this bottom gear here, so it's a limited slip. Same principles apply, where it's loading those spider gears apart to try to load that clutch pack, but under this magnet, there's a lock collar in there and some ball bearings, so that basically you apply the electromagnet, those ball bearings work on little ramps and load this whole assembly to be a welded diff or locked up diff.
So with the flip of the switch, you turn on the magnet and lock it up.
Right.
So this diff is naturally, when the electromagnet, which is what this is not on, it's a standard clutch type limited slip diff. But when you flip the switch, turn on the magnet, it locks everything together just like a welded diff. Which is pretty cool, which means that we'll be able to get really good characteristics out of the car for grip driving or drifting.
Lockers are pretty common, especially in the off-road world, but it's very rare to find something with a limited slip that is also a locker. Usually they're open or lockers. So this is a pretty big deal for us trying to do drift things.
I'm excited to have a magnet in my differential. I like magnets. How do they work? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Ring down. Okay, and that's the pinion out.
Love it when it gets in between sizes. Oh, yes. Way more sizes. That's better. Yes.
Almost got it.
One. Okay, so we're gonna continue tearing everything apart. We have all new bearings for, the axle ends and pinions and everything. So we're gonna take it all apart, clean everything up, get the new bearings in place. And once we're done with that, we can start setting up our gear pattern with the paint and everything and start figuring that out.
All right, we got ourselves a 20-ton press from Harbor Freight, and now we can touch down the bearings on the differential and then throw the ring gear on and proceed. It's been a long time coming. We've needed a press for a while, so it's a big day. Getting pressed.
You see the gap?
Go away, Gap.
Let's start on you.
All right, now we've got all the old bearings and all the old stuff out of the axle housing. We're just putting together the new stuff. So we got to get a new bearing on the pinion shaft, then we can put the ring gear on the differential, and then we can start putting everything together. We are going to have to make a hole in the axle housing for them wires to come through. Our little pass-through should go just like so. Beautiful. Cool. All right, this is the ring gear that we took off the old differential. Hopefully going on to the new differential.
Yeah, that's about right. Whoa, the floppy-headed ratchet.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Now I can put them in with Loctite and torque them for realsies. Ring gear just sucked up pretty nice though. So we have to get the new big pinion bearing on. So I think I'm gonna try a little heat again on this, see if I can get it to go. A lot of people say not to do this with the torch. The heat gun works pretty good too. You wanna make sure not to overheat the bearing because you can get, it's like hardness out of it. So if you look at it, you can see it like start to turn a straw color and that's like, you should stop there.
Hey.
Yeah. Here. Ow.
Fingers.
Fingers, sharp corners. Might be a little too much shim. There. Still seems pretty tight.
We got new ones.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to use them. All right, now I'm just giving it a few spins, make sure everything's happy in there, and then we will put some gear marking paint on the teeth and see what the interface between the pinion gear and the ring gear looks like, and that'll be displayed by kind of where the paint is pushed out of. But what we're looking for is a nice kind of middle contact. So the flat side here is the drive side. That's what's being pushed on when you're driving forward.
Accelerating.
And then the beveled side is the coast side that's in contact when you're coasting. Both sides are important. You don't want them to be like sort of at opposite ends of the heel and toe, respectively, but these are both a hair toe side, both nicely centered. Looks pretty good.
We're just gonna take it back apart
Yep.
and put the for real bearing in instead of the
Yep.
setup bearing, and put the seals and all that in, and then torque everything for real on the back.
Well, check backlash,
Check backlash. We have not done that yet.
which backlash is all by these shims, right? So we can finish the
We
pinion.
can finish the pinion, yes, because the pattern's good.
Okay, cool. Let's take it apart.
Yes. Setup bearing. Yeah, perfect. I know what you're thinking. You should have cleaned this first. Yes. We know.
All right, so the pinion is in there. Now the differential's in there with shims, and our backlash is 8 thousandths, which is in spec for this differential. And keep in mind, it's got brand new bearings that'll wear in just a hair. So if anything, that backlash will get slightly bigger. But yeah, 8 thousandths is good. So we can proceed.
Hey, I'll take that. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the rear end. We're gonna leave the cover off so we can try it out and watch it work later. But in order to do that, we're gonna relocate the battery and some other stuff when we do the steering thing. We're gonna dive into steering stuff to get everything to happen right now.
All right, next thing we're gonna be doing is converting the Mustang's power steering system to an electric over hydraulic power steering system. We got this electric power steering pump that came out of a Dodge Charger for 200 bucks. It's used, but should still work. So this is driven not by a serpentine belt, but by electricity. So it doesn't sit where the normal one sits. It can be kind of anywhere in the car as long as it has battery power. We've also got a cooler here for keeping the fluid nice and cool. And we have a power steering delete kit here to get rid of the original factory power steering. So one of the really cool things about this is that we'll have complete control over that steering feel. We'll have a little potentiometer or a little knob so that we can turn it up or turn it down. So the steering goes from light to firm and everywhere in between. So that should be pretty cool. So we're gonna mount the pump in the car, which is part of the reason that we're also going to relocate the battery to inside the car. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is pull the factory power steering pump out of the car and then put this power steering pump delete kit on so that we can measure and figure out what size serpentine belt we need without the power steering pump. All right, I'll let that drain for a while.
So I recently got a new 3D scanner from Einscan, so I figured I'd use this pump as an opportunity to learn the software and how to get all that working. So I gave this a quick scan, and having that data made it so that I could just bring this into CAD, model up a quick bracket, order it from Send Cut Send. It's a huge game changer being able to scan something, have an accurate model of it, and it really streamlines the whole process of trying to make parts. So now we get to see if I was right and it fits, or if I missed.
So Mike's gonna start working on mounting the pump inside the car, and I'm gonna start working on getting the lines adapted to the power steering rack and routed to the cooler at the front, and then over here, I think, through the firewall and over to the pump. All right, so the cooler does fit where we want it to go, which is great news, but since the inlet and the outlet are kind of flat with the body of the cooler, they sort of rest up against the radiator, so I have a feeling we're gonna need to bend them out just a little bit. Yeah, now that's flush up against the radiator all the way across, which is the best case for airflow, and it fits really nicely. All right, still working on the lines. Here's the update. We have the return line coming out of the pump, plumbed up going into the power steering cooler. And right now I'm working on the pressure line, getting it from the rack over to the bulkhead fitting on the firewall. Then once that's done, I can go from the outlet of the cooler all the way over to the other bulkhead fitting on the firewall. And then the lines are done up front.
Go down the rocker, up behind the dash, and then I want to get neatly to here.
All right, all the lines for the new electric power steering setup are pretty much done under the engine bay. I think Mike's got them pretty much done in the cab. The pump is mounted. It seems like the power steering setup is pretty much done apart from powering it. And again, that's gonna be that's gonna be a part of a bigger situation. We're moving the battery in the car, so we're gonna have to do some wiring stuff. But as far as the power steering fluid is concerned, all that plumbing is done. Right now I'm working on making a new starter power wire for the main power to the starter. This is called a rad lock fitting, and it goes on here and we'll crimp it, but it's really nice. These have really low resistance. They're really easy to take on and off. They don't really wear out. They're a little bit expensive, but they're pretty cool. Pretty satisfying click.
So this is pretty much the last piece wiring-wise. We've got a little bit more to do up front, but the back's done, everything's plumbed. So from here, we get to test things. Exciting, right? Okay, we've got everything hooked up. We don't want constant power, that'll kill the battery. It's bad for stuff. I'm gonna power it up to key on and try to find a key on power. Go back on. Yes. I'm gonna hook this up to that harness for that gauge panel thing, or switch panel, and then we can test stuff. That's cool. Trying to just get all the air out of the system, all of our lines, the cooler, the rack, just working it back and forth a couple times. It's by flow rate with this stuff, not really pressure. So it's very cool that we can do that. So if we're doing normal like road course stuff or something, not drifting, you can play with it, keep some steering feel, not have it be super light, but if you need the power and speed, you can really ramp it up. This is like effortless.
All right, now that all the wiring is done, it's time to go back to the diff and see that thing work. The reason we left the case off, or the cover off rather, is so that once we got everything wired up, we could flip the switch and see what we see and, you know, see it lock up. Okay, now I'm gonna turn the key on and then I'm gonna flip that little toggle switch and that should activate the diff's magnet and lock it up. Ah! On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Diff is in theory locked. We'll try the breakaway test again. And that's all I got.
All right.
So it's locked.
All right, well that's great that thing works. So now I think it's time to throw the cover on the diff, throw some fluid in it, button the rest of this stuff up, and then go see if it'll do a donut. All right, we got everything buttoned up, got the thing back on the ground. Now it's time to take a little test drive. We're just gonna go around the block, see how the power steering feels, and see how the diff works. Whoa! Dude, the power steering is awesome. All the way turned down, the steering wheel is nice and heavy, and boy, you can just make it so light. Oh, and it feels great. Wow, that's awesome. And turned down, it's like silent. Once you crank it up, it makes a little bit of noise, but I think we'll mostly have it turned pretty much all the way down. God, it feels great. All right, now let's see how the diff works. I'm gonna do a tight little circle with it just in limited slip mode, and it should just do a tight little circle. It shouldn't do anything funny. But then once I lock it up, it should act like a welded diff and skip one of the tires. Yep, no problem there. Does a nice little circle. All right, now let's lock it up. Yeah, you hear that? That's sick. Dude, this thing is gonna be so much fun. All right, now the real question is, will it do a donut? I think it's gonna. Well, that answers that. I think it does a donut. All right, well, the Mustang just got a ton better. The power steering feels awesome. The electric pump is a sick move, and for only 200 bucks plus, you know, hoses and stuff, it's really not that bad. And it frees up a few extra horsepower by getting the power steering pump off the engine. And the diff is awesome. One of the coolest diffs I've ever seen in my life. So big thanks to Auburn for hooking us up with it, and I'm very excited to see how this thing feels on track. But the next thing we got to do to this car is get it back up to Borla, the place that we blew our first engine, and finish up the exhaust, and then I think we can go back to the track, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. I hope you had some fun. Don't forget to like the video, give us a comment, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next time.